Good morning, everyone. This is Bill Barker, and welcome back to the conversation. It's great having everyone here. Let's give everyone a minute or two to start signing on and make sure we've got everybody ready to go. So let's hit the chat and let me know who's out there this morning. There's some storms rolling through Florida, I understand, up the panhandle too. So, all the people that are in the middle of a storm right now, we're wishing you well and stay safe, particularly in Tallahassee, I understand. But let me know who's out there this morning, and we'll get going here real quick. Thanks for coming back in. We appreciate it. We've been talking about leading through change and the uncertainty of change, and it's been a good conversation. Good morning, Scott. Good to see you from Northport. Love it. Hope everything's well in Northport this morning. Thanks for being here with us this morning. Keep signing on, people, so we know who's there. But we've been going through. Hey, Nikki, good to see you. Oh, Lake George, New York. Love it. I bet it's beautiful up there this morning. Good morning, Caroline. How are you doing? Lori Bowley, great to see you. Good morning. Awesome having everybody coming in this morning. We got a great topic today. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to getting everyone's engagement, learning from you as well. But we've been leading through the uncertainty of change. It's been a great topic. Hey, Dave. Great seeing you. Albany, New York. Way to go. Love it. Good morning, Sarah. How are you doing? Good seeing you. Great to have you here. Christian, how are you? Good morning as well. Awesome. What a group. Love it. So we started out, on this journey, and next week when we wrap it up, we're going to all emerge as change agents, right? And that's what we're trying to be. We don't want to stay stagnant. We want to constantly be in motion, learning, developing, analyzing the marketplace, figuring out how we fit into that marketplace, and really being an agent of change and possibility, right? So we started out talking about the fear of the unknown, and then we gained the courage to explore new opportunities, and we discussed the need to lead ourselves through the process of self-disruption for reconstruction. I thought that was a great topic last week. And as I told you, I was disrupting my own lifestyle to get more healthy. And I told you I'd report out every week. I've done well. I've lost a couple more pounds. I've been walking and exercising almost every day now, and I'm feeling better. I had the opportunity. I hadn't played golf in almost a year. I did play one time since May of last year. And hey, Lexi, good morning to you. Thanks for being here. And I already feel better, feel stronger. So just this conversation, having you colleagues here, helping us think through that has already been life-changing in the short term. Not taking credit yet. We got to give it time. It's going to take time. But I want you to know your encouragement has encouraged my heart, and we're on track. So Jack Welch said it well. Former chairman and CEO of General Electric. Everybody knows Jack Welch. He put it this way: change before you have to. Remember that. I think that's kind of what we've been talking about all along. Just remember, change before you have to. So we continue the topic today, and today we're going to talk about the evolution, solution, transformational change. Evolution, solution, transformational change. Should be a great topic. So if you've been aware of the need to change something in your life, just like I talked about for me and myself, or as a leader in your organization, why haven't you? I mean, that's a question I'd like to pose to you this morning. I'd like you to think about. We all have great instincts. We all tend to know what we need to do. It's that ability to then take that awareness and act on it. That's what this is really all about. So if you want to share some things, share them. I think it's great to hear from everybody about how they think about these things. Oh yeah, I do. I admit it. I'm going to change that this time. I'm going to do something about it. Are you waiting for the situation to get worse? Sometimes that's what it takes, before you decide to do something to make it better. I had the great pleasure to be at a conference the other day with Steve Forbes as a speaker. He made a great point. He said he practices Lent, and he said one of the great things about practicing Lent is you give up some of the things you shouldn't probably do anyway for 45 days. And he made a great point. Go have your physical at the end of Lent. It's a great time to have it, right? So, sometimes we prepare for things like that, right? We want to pass that test. So we get healthy for a few weeks to pass our physical test. It's kind of funny. But what we're talking about here, we don't always want to have to let it get worse before we make the change. Can we be disciplined to recognize the need and act? So last week we talked about how self-disruption is proactive, not reactive, remember? And that's proactive change. How as leaders we should strive to be a disruptor and not be disrupted. I think that was a powerful takeaway, and I hope you agree. Complacency in and of itself, satisfaction with the status quo, is the biggest barrier to change. Complacency, biggest barrier to change. It immobilizes us and keeps us from growing and evolving. I find it interesting. All this we're talking about is really the power of the fight or flight syndrome, right? Sometimes we just need to be told that we're going to have a negative outcome. That fear of that possibility of a negative outcome gives us the energy and the courage to do something about it. I would promise you, if you went to the doctor and he told you, if you don't change something, you're going to have a medical condition, a medical problem. I'm speaking from the heart here. You do better for a little while until you get complacent again. That fear subsides, you get back into normal rhythms, and all of a sudden you fall back into those habits. Why is that? We're built that way. I actually studied psychology for a good while in my younger years, but we're built, our bodies are built, our minds are conditioned to operate that way. But it goes way, way back in time. Way back in time, before we had the things we have today. That's how you survived. You knew that when situations were at its most extreme, you had to fly. You had to flight from that situation. So John Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, I think puts it really well. The law of diminishing intent. Remember, we talked a lot about being intentional. We do not leave anything to change. If you've worked around me or worked close to me for years, you've heard me say all the time, we do not leave things to chance. We want to be very intentional. But the law of diminishing intent says the longer you wait to do something that you should do now, the greater the odds you will never actually do it. So the law of diminishing intent, you have an intention, you know you need to do it. The more time that goes by, that intent diminishes. The longer you wait, the more unlikely it is that you will actually act on it. I think that's very important to remember. So the difference between where we are today and where we want to be is our decision to change and evolve. The power of making a decision and then acting on it. That is the key difference. Viktor Frankl said it this way: when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Let that sink in for a minute. So how does this apply to where you are today? Chat this up. Does any of this make sense? Is it resonating with you? Let me know. If it's not, we need to pivot and do other things. I hope this, when you're coming out of a pandemic and you're in the recovery phases of a pandemic, what a great time to reassess. People are going back in the office. Clients are starting to lean in more. They're starting to see retail behavior get back to something, not normal and never be what it used to be, but it is some normalcy starting to float back into that. We're hearing it from a lot of my clients, right? So, when things that used to work no longer work, it's time to challenge ourselves, right? We become what we decide to be. We become what we decide to be, whether as an individual or as an organization. Transformational change doesn't just happen, team. It requires three things: self-awareness, intention. See how often that word comes up? And mindful action to be achieved. Self-awareness, intention, and mindful action. The mind has the same power as the hands. I love this. Not merely to grasp the world, but to change it. The mind has the same power as the hands. Colin Wilson. That is a very well said statement. And Oliver Wendell Holmes, famous Oliver Wendell Holmes, said this way: man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. Think about that. The more you stretch your mind to the possibility of ideas, it never goes back to its original dimensions. Your mind, your ability to conceive has been broadened. That's evolution. Change begins within and here. Change begins within, and we are transformed first by our thoughts and then by our actions. I think that's awesome. Chat it up there, team. Let me hear from somebody. I want to make sure you're still awake out there. Is this making sense to you? Tell me how you apply some of this, some of your thoughts against what we're talking about. Let's learn from each other. For leaders, the transition to successful transformation requires a clear sense of direction, communicated with clarity. We've all struggled with it, right? We're in the communication business. Many of us, we've always said we're like the cobbler with no shoes. We oftentimes are not the best at communicating to our teams and to our clients and among our communities. Even when people are unhappy with the status quo, they are usually unwilling to make even short-term sacrifices unless they understand the potential benefits of change initiatives and truly believe transformation is possible. They have to believe. We talk about inspired vision, enabling others to act. They have to believe that transformation is possible. As a leader, are you laying the groundwork and creating the culture and the vision that your team believes? You have a right to win. You have the capacity to be better than your competitors, and you can measure and react and be proactive, I should say, to the market's dynamics. Demonstrating change by deeds is as important for a leader as communicating it words. I love it. You're exactly right. Boy, that's a statement I've said a lot of times too. If you're not growing, you're dying. That's just a cold reality, right? We want to be growing. I got a story on that, but it'll take too much time. But demonstrating change by deeds is as important for leaders communicating it in words. So deeds count. Gandhi said it this way: we must become the change that we want to see. We must become the change that we want to see. Nothing undermines major transformational efforts in an organization more than a leader who doesn't walk the talk. Remember my saying? Tongue and mouth and one in shoe have to be going in the same direction. Remember that. Tongue and mouth, one in shoe have to be going in the same direction. That's, if you don't, it's not leadership, it's lip service. So nothing undermines major transformational efforts in organizations more than a leader who doesn't walk the talk. That's not leadership, that's lip service. Remember. Leaders have to be capable and comfortable guiding and navigating change, both aspirationally and strategically. Strategically by removing obstacles, whether they're outdated organizational structures, inefficient processes, or mental stumbling blocks. So we're going to talk about the 3 Ps. Rita and I have been collaborating on that. We came up with the 3 Ps and then the ABCs. The 3 Ps of leading transformation, transformative change. And these are the things that really have guided me throughout my career. Starts with passion. I think you can sense that, feel it. Passion, staying enthusiastic and encouraging about the possibilities, even when experiencing setbacks. Think about that. Inspiring people to stretch and succeed, to add value to both themselves, their teams, and the organization, so they can add value to others and the entire organization. But it starts with us. Remember, add value to ourselves so that we can add value to others and the entire organization. Passion, preparedness, keeping up with how the market is changing, keeping up with how the environment around you is changing, communicating the necessity to evolve with and stay competitive. Good morning, Terry. Glad you're able to join us. Love having you here. Identifying gaps in people and performance. That's important. Gap management. We could do a whole series on gap management. Very, very important. Great discipline to have too, by the way. And outlining emerging opportunities to develop and grow. Preparedness to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. Speed to market. Be prepared. Passion, preparedness. Third, perseverance. If you're in the media business, particularly, many of you on this call are, or if you're not in any business in today coming out of a pandemic, perseverance is a great skill and competency to have. Remaining committed to seeing the mission through. Are you committed as a team today? Are you committed to seeing the mission through? Remember, if you do, you have passion for it, you love it, you never work a day in your life. Providing a steady hand and persistent encouragement. Guiding organizational growth, assessing progress and the outcomes associated, and adjusting course as necessary, pivoting, adjusting course recognizing where you're on track, where you need to reconsider. Very, very important as a leader. It's all part of that visioning. It's all part of setting the stage, creating an environment of winning. True transformation takes time, though. Let's remember that. We don't want to be impatient in this. We want to be patient. We want to be patient with our colleagues. We want to be patient with ourselves, our clients, even the markets we represent. It's a very important thing. It's important to celebrate successful transitory, evolution. So even the smallest evolutions along the way are important to celebrate. It starts demonstrating what this looks like in action. Doing so really underscores progress of people's efforts, right? We want to reward effort here too. Keeps them engaged as a result and encourages them to continue along the path. The ABCs now of what we're talking about, let's talk about that just real quickly. And I got all these reminders coming booming in, and they're driving me crazy. So the ABCs of leading the evolutionary process of transformational change of an organization are these are the three that Reed and I came up with. And then we're going to apply them. So align the right people. We talk about it a lot, getting the right people at the right level of the organization doing the right things. Alignment in business is vital. So make sure you think about alignment all the time. Are we aligning the right people, the right processes to the right opportunity at the right time? Building trusting relationships. We're going to talk about that in a future session, but building relationships and building relationships that allow for candor and honesty and openness. Remember, challenge the process, building those trusting relationships, and then communicate a clear vision toward a common goal. Can we agree that this goal is attainable, is something we all commonly want to achieve? And then let's communicate that clearly all the time. Once we do that, then we have to follow through. So then we're going to the second set of ABCs. I love it, Nikki. Incremental progress over time equals large change. Absolutely. Progress is not perfection. Awesome. Love it. So now that we've done the ABCs of getting started, now we got to go to across the finish line. Align, now back to align. Went from align the right people to align actions with words. We talked a good game. We got a good plan. Now let's take action. So align the action to the strategy. Build on common goals. So we got the relationships now. We agreed on a consensus of what we're wanting to achieve. Now let's build around those goals. Let's win incrementally. Let's win collectively. Let's do what Nikki said. Let's make progress. And then celebrate the small successes. We talked about that already a little bit. Easy principles to remember, but not necessarily easy to execute. But I do believe you align them with the leadership principles we already talked about. We get into this transformational thinking. We do those things on a routine basis. You will be highly successful. So how do you recognize an organization is on its way to transformation? I got a few little things that we'll share here before we wrap up. It increasingly encourages and recognizes new ideas at all levels of the organization. Remember, recognizes, encourages new ideas at all levels of the organization. It is more agile, adapting quickly and pivoting more often as needed. Agility, very, very important. It's flexible in its processes and in the way it allows people to reach their goals. Flexibility in the processes, challenge the process, constantly improvement, continuous improvement, allowing people to reach their goals. It has abandoned an antiquated business model. It's always evaluating this business model. It's putting on the shelf those things that are outdated, that slow us in response and stun our growth, for implementation of a faster, more technologically advanced, solution-centric system. I love it. George Eliot, he said, it's never too late to be what you might have been. It's never too late to be what you might have been. That's transformation, changing who you are to who you want to be. So my quote to note today, when a man puts a limit on what he will do, he also puts a limit on what he can do. Charles Schwab. When a man puts a limit on what he will do, he puts a limit on what he can do. The evolution solution to transformation has no limits. It's ever changing, ever growing, and ever discovering new possibilities. Are you and your organization on a growth and success path, reaching the potential that has limited you in the past by stagnation? Change that. It's never too late to change. John Ron gives us the takeaway of the day today. You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction. I love it. That's our takeaway today. You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction. Is it time to change your direction? Think about it, please. Then start, change, evolve, and transform. Okay? So next week, we're going to move away from the evolution solution of transformative change to becoming and emerging as that change agent. We're almost to the finish line. I thank you for being with us. Let's see who won our book today. I'm going to give it to Nikki today because I think that incremental progress note she put out there right at the end is very deserving. It's another book on the art of possibilities, and that's what it's talking about, possibility. Jeffrey, thank you. Evolution, not revolution. I love that. Okay. Well, listen, everybody, thanks for being with us. I appreciate your time. We'll see you next week. We'll start moving to be that agent of change we all want to be. And until then, lead on.